We would like to invite you to Edge Life's Minneapolis Holistic Expo, November 3rd and 4th at the Earl Brown Heritage Center. The Holistic Expo will feature over 50 different exhibitors, several dynamic spiritual speakers, including Greg Braden, Sonny Don Johnston, and Echo Bodine, many intuitive readers, and so much more. For more information on attending the Minneapolis Holistic Expo, go to www.edgelife.net.
The best minds of our time are telling us that you and I are living a time unlike any other time in the recorded history, in the 5,000-year recorded history of humankind. They say that never have so many challenges been focused into such a narrow window of time, crises that we must solve within the next 5 to 8 years that forever have the potential to change our lives and our world. My question is, how can we solve those crises until we answer the most fundamental question of all? And that question is also the most ancient. Who are we? Who are we? In my new book, Deep Truth, I'm exploring 4 principles that help us to answer precisely this question. How long have we been in this world? Are we here on purpose, or are we an accident of biology? Is war really our truest nature? These are the kinds of questions that once we understand the true nature of their answer helps us to understand the true nature of ourselves.
Hello, my name is Gary Beckman. I'm the producer of the Minneapolis Edge Life Expos. And today it is my privilege to interview Echo Bodine and Catherine Harwig, 2 of the foremost psychics in the upper Midwest. Many of you know them. They have agreed to answer some of the questions that many of you have, and they get the answers, and the questions will give an example of what our expo will be like in the future. My first question is, what do you want to know? And that is the question that a lot of our attendees and a lot of the viewers have about the future that the human race has on this earth. I have the feeling that the earth is going to be here for a long time, but everyone is wondering about this 2012. What is your opinion on 2012 and the significance it has to the human race? And the follow-up question is going to be, where did you receive those answers from? Echo, you want to go first?
Sure. I get a lot of my information from my intuition, which I believe is the voice of God. I also get information from guides that I work with, and I have an angel named Lily that works with me specifically. And a lot of my information comes from readings that I do for my students or for blogs that I do on my website. And, you know, there's a lot of people asking right now, is the world coming to an end, 2012? And the answer is yes, and the answer is no. The world is not physically coming to an end, to my understanding, but we are changing our consciousness quite a bit this year. And I'm seeing that in illness. I'm seeing that in a lot of death. People are really being pushed this year, I think more than ever, to, are they going to get over on a spiritual path and start looking at life from a different perspective, or are they going to stay in the old way of living their lives and looking at life through the old perspective? That's what I see the biggest change being this year. And unfortunately, us humans, unless we are pushed against the wall, we don't change. We won't change. We're afraid of change. And so that's why I'm seeing a lot of illness, a lot of death right now. And yet, I have to say, I see it all as a really positive thing. So we are headed for some continued changes. I do not see the world coming to an end at all, but I am actually very hopeful about our future.
Thank you. Catherine?
Well, like Echo, Echo and I agree on the majority of the points in regard to both 2012 and to a certain extent where we get our information. I get my information in two ways. One, from my intuition, which I have done for all my life. And I believe that's to a large extent a very personal source of my information. And when I don't do readings anymore, but when I did and I would talk to other people, I believe my intuition could tap into theirs and get to their higher knowingness. For the global questions, for what we call the big questions, I also, and even for the small questions, because my guides are chatty, but I also tap into my guides, who I call the Light Collective. I've known them for about 15 years and I trust them, and they look at the world from a very different perspective, from a larger perspective, if you want to call that, because they're not dwelling here. What I'm getting about 2012, I absolutely agree with Echo. I don't think the world's going to come to an end. Will there be change, massive earth changes? I think so, but there always are. And depending on where you live and how it affects you is going to depend upon what happens. What I'm being told is the major difference is that 2012, 2013 are huge times of evolutionary changes for the human race. And my guides have gone so far as to say there really is we are developing as humans into, I suppose what I'd call almost two different species. And some of the species which will stay in our logical, practical, conscious state of awareness, and others who are going to evolve into a more intuitive species. And now I don't think we'll look different. I think we'll all live on the same planet. I'm sure, I think we'll get along as well as we ever have. But eventually, and what I'm being told is the intuitive species it's similar to the Neanderthal versus the Cro-Magnon. The intuitive species is a stronger species. And so evolutionary wise, it's more likely to survive. So this is a fascinating time. My guides have gone so far as to say we should start the numbering process all over. We should call 2013 year one. And I kind of like that, but I'm pretty sure I can't get anybody else to go along with me when I write a check for 111.
Right.
So I probably won't.
But see, but that goes along with the 2012 thing, the December 21st, 2012, world is coming to an end, blah, blah, blah. No, that's perfect example of, we should start at 111. Because we're going to have a new world. It's changing right now.
Right. And what the Mayans saw and the Hopis saw and so many of these people when they said the world would come to an end, we have interpreted it to mean it's some kind of global catastrophe when it's really the world as we know it is changing so rapidly that we could call it a completely different world.
Your answers were beautiful, but it ties into what is known as the Great Years, which is 26,000 years. All the universes have made the rotations, do the swings through the atmosphere, and they come to a new alignment at the end of 25,500 years, and everything starts over for the new rotation. That's 26,000 years is in human time, or 25,000.5. They bring up the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is fine, but all that is a recording device. What we're in now is true 111. And that the astrophysics can take a look at that and document that. That does happen.
Okay.
It is tied into the Earth, to the universe, to the great universe, and to the central sun. So it all fits together into a real nice, neat package from the scientific side to more of the metaphysical or spiritual being that we are used to living in.
Very interesting.
Which also brings to my mind, and this is an extremely important subject and question, as I'm getting older, the Western world tends not to deal with the soul and realize the significance of it. We always push that to the rabbi, the priest, the minister, the church, they can take care of my soul. No, no. In my thought, no, no. We are still responsible for our souls. I have theories and thinking on it. I may add later, but echo what's your thought on the evolution of the soul?
I totally believe that's what our lives are all about, is the development of the soul. I mean, that's the whole ball of wax to me, is that it's the soul here, living on this planet right now, to grow and develop to its highest potential. And I really believe that's why we come here.
Why has that not been more significant to the people in the upper Midwest, United States of America, and Europe?
I don't know. I think, I would guess it's, I could really get off on a tangent about this, just about religion versus spirituality, but I don't know why people, I think it, bottom line, I really do think it has to do with religion. And religion, I think, is afraid to talk too much about the soul. It doesn't fit with their old way of thinking.
And Catherine?
Well, I think the word soul is used differently by different people. So I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. I think religion talks about the soul all the time. I mean, they're always talking about saving souls.
Saving souls,
and so they have a completely, I don't want to lump anybody into one category, but I think before you even talk about the soul, you have to define what you're saying. And I'm not sure, when we talk about this whole evolutionary thing, we're not talking about the body, because the human body can't evolve that quickly.
Right.
We're talking about what I would call a soul evolution, but I could also say it's a brain evolution. I'm not sure I can differentiate between my consciousness and my soul. All I know, so how I define soul is it's part of me that's eternal. Mm-hmm. And that part never can die any more than matter can be destroyed or created. The souls can't either. So, but it does have to grow. I think everything on our planet grows, and everything evolves, and this is a natural process. That's honestly what I think is happening.
I agree.
Well, the soul, I can't give you a perfect definition because I'm not a man of the letters, but that soul moves with us if you believe into other lives, future lives, past life. That soul stays with us, and that us finally becomes individual. But my question here, do you believe it's time for a major evolution of the soul, so that even we could look at immortality, we could look at having control of our lives, not through the mind, not through the brain, but working and living through the soul to make all our decisions? Catherine?
I think we already do.
Yeah, I do too.
Do you?
And I don't think we can be immortal in this body. Perhaps we can. I'm not saying we can't. I just don't know that I care for it. Because I think I kind of like having new bodies every once in a while. It's like driving a new car.
Yep. It is.
But I think the soul is already immortal, Gary. And what I think perhaps the evolutionary piece of it is people recognizing that, acknowledging it, and acting that way. Because as long as you act as if you're going to end in 70 or 80 years, you live in a completely different fashion.
Yes,
it's a blink.
Yeah.
It's a blink in the big scheme.
And it's a blink, and your priorities are that of a person who's going to end in that period of time.
Yeah.
When you realize that your soul is immortal and it continues to grow, and everything you do affects everything you're going to do and everything you have done, you live in a completely different fashion.
You do.
And your take on that, Echo?
I totally agree.
You totally agree with her?
We are all about the soul.
The ladies have agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I love
There
it.
you go.
By the way, this has really been a pleasure, or is a pleasure for me, to get these two together. It really has not happened in the history of either one of them or in my life. So
Not that our souls have been hanging around for a very long time.
They're a wealth of information and knowledge that they can share with you. And I think my next question is that you hit a little bit on it, is preparation. Is that the tools that we can use to help us go through all of this. I believe meditation is the single most significant thing that has been given to us. Laying that out, i.e., meditation, what other tools can we use to enhance and make our lives better?
Well, okay, I agree that meditation is important, but the word meditation really throws people because they think they have to sit down and go do the Om thing and they have to be silent and sit in a certain position. And people get really concerned about, am I doing it right or wrong? What if I'm doing it wrong? Am I wasting my time? People have to learn different ways of meditating, which could be going for a walk by yourself, no music on the headphones, just walk, talk to your inner voice. I think the single most important thing that's important to me to teach people is about their intuition, that I believe that it is the voice of the divine within all of us, the voice of our higher self. And if we can connect with that and live our life by that guidance, really focus each day on getting the inner guidance, that to me is what is the single most important thing that a person can do. And again, meditation, prayer and meditation, I think are both very important, but I don't want to limit it to sitting at the kitchen table saying the same prayer every night, or meditation just sitting in a Om position doing something that I certainly don't do very well. So
meditation could be taking a 2-mile run or jog, or 2 or 3 mile walk, or playing around the golf, or sewing your favorite costume, whatever happens to be relaxing to you, to go into yourself. Is
yes.
that where I'm...
To me, prayer is talking to God, and to me, meditation is listening to God. And so whatever you are doing, to be in that state of listening is what's most important, I believe.
And that is aligning the soul with the rest of your aspects then?
Well, it's aligning the physical body and the soul with the divine. Okay. All three.
Catherine?
Well, I don't meditate. I took a meditation class once and I flunked. So I'm saying that a little flippantly, but that as Echo was saying, the traditional form of meditation is just not my style. I tend to move fast, and I what I do every morning is I sit down with a cup of coffee and I have a conversation with my guides, and I say, what do I need to know for today? And they tell me, and we have a little conversation, and it's very pleasant, and I also think of other things and so forth. And if you're asking me what I think people should do, I think they have to quit. No, they don't have to do anything. Nobody ever does. But what would be useful is to quit looking for outside information and start looking inward.
Yep.
And when I'm talking about this evolutionary thing, I'm really seriously saying the people who are going to start becoming the intuitive species aren't going to need to even talk to, and I'll offend a lot of people. I don't know that you'll need to pray. I don't know if you'll need to talk to angels, because they'll be part of who you are. And so what you're really doing is just sitting down and having a conversation.
Yeah.
What I heard there, Catherine, is that we are gaining another sense, or having that other sense become awake or come alive.
Oh, we have had that sense for a very long time.
It hasn't surfaced to everyone.
But there haven't. First of all, people have, it's been underground. It's been, and then people make it way too hard, so that nobody but the elite have been able to do it. And I do think we're simply getting much better at it.
I do too.
That's what I think is a big change.
Yep.
What do you want to know? Echo and Catherine, I want to ask you a very important question to me, and I think everyone out there. What will you be discussing with the audience?
We're asking the audience to bring their questions. We're really asking them what they want to know. And we're hoping, you've asked us a few questions in this interview, we're hoping that they bring those sorts of questions. We're not there to answer personal questions. We're not there to answer, both Echo and I do that in other ways, but for this particular thing, these are questions that are of general interest to everyone. And we are interested in what their big questions are. What do they really want to know? You have ideas of what the audience might want to know, and Echo and I do. But what we want to hear from, so we'll be having people come up and ask their big questions, and hopefully something that will apply to everyone in the audience.
That is the secret to any worthwhile event, is that you can have some answers that will help the attendees, that will help the person on the street with their life. And that has to do with, that's why I hold these, for that simple reason. That's why I started the Edge magazine, to give thousands and thousands of people a lot of answers to a lot of questions. It doesn't happen to be in this religion, that religion, that religion, this philosophy, but for really what has come down as themselves. Catherine, do you have anything to add, Echo, in this area?
You know, what I like about the way we're going to do this is that we do get to hear what people are interested in. And because, again, both she and I do this kind of work every day, and we know the questions that our clients want answers to. But it would be fun to hear. It will be fun for both of us to hear, you know, what the entire audience, what do they want to hear about? Do they want to hear about UFOs? Do they want to hear about spirit guides? Do they want to talk about God? Do they want to talk about intuition? Do they want to talk about the economy? You know, I mean,
You want to talk about politics?
we don't want to assume that we know what they want to hear. And
right.
that's why this talk is going to be different than any that we've done before, because we're asking the people, what do you want to know? Tell us.
And I'm very excited to be working with Echo. We've been friends for a very long time. Both of us, I think, are similar in a lot of ways, in that we're pretty practical, down-to-earth people who do all sorts of very fairy things. But so what I want to know, perhaps, are some of the very practical things that people will ask about. But I don't know what they'll be. Should they sell their house and move to Timbuktu or whatever? I don't. It's not a personal thing, so it's not their house, but in general. And we'll see what happens. It'll be fun, and I can't wait to hear what Echo has to say, and I'll be surprised at what I'm going to say.
I am waiting excitedly about what the answers will be to the hundreds or the many questions we will have asked us and them about the chaos that's going on in our present life all over the world. And that is why it's a great privilege for me and the Edge Life Expo staff to share with you Catherine Harwick and Echo Bodine. Thank you.
Meet Sunny Dawn Johnston. She has been wowing audiences around the country for years. Join us as we explore how Sunny Dawn uses her experiential in-the-now approach with audience members. Watch as she shifts feelings of loneliness, fear, and disconnection to the joy of unconditional love.
I know Spirit won't take me anywhere that you guys can't handle. I know what needs to come out because I'm guided through it.
On our journey, you will witness challenges, transformations, and enlightenment as Sunny Dawn draws from her deep understanding of spiritual principles and her innate knowing of all facets of love. She has helped thousands of people across the country find their personal spiritual connection, own their natural gifts, and listen to their inner truth.
That's your spirit. That's what was coming through there. It's not about what people are thinking or what they're looking at. It's your spirit. You do not need to do anything to be worthy of that love. You've got it. It is innate. It is within you. Play all out. Worst case scenario is people are going to look at you. So, who cares? My very favorite saying is, your opinion of me is none of my business. My favorite saying. I'm going to get t-shirts, hat, I'm going to get a tattoo on my forehead. Your opinion of me is none of my business.
Sunny believes that an open heart that has experienced unconditional love can generate a new kind of space for healing on our planet. One person harnessing the power of unconditional love is life-altering. But the opportunity to bring this to a larger audience is world-changing. Can we continue to experience life without a sunny dawn? Imagine how it would affect us all.
Sunny Dawn Johnson didn't know what she was, who she was, what she did, anything. That was awe-inspiring.
I've just come out of the class with Sunny Dawn Johnson, whose work I love.
Our stories, no matter how intense or ordinary, cause us to completely lose track of the most important key ability that allows everything we attempt become reality.
We were created by a higher source, right? The omnipotent power, the force of all there is, love, God, Yahweh, Buddha, whatever we want to call it, we come from something greater than us. In fact, when it created us, it actually divided itself into us. So it cannot separate itself from us. It is always a part of us. Just like when the human egg is fertilized, this is a zygote, and the zygote starts splitting into the 33 billion cells that become us. Each one of the cells carries our DNA. And in that DNA is all of who we are and all of who we're meant to become. Well, it's the same thing when God created us. When He divided Himself, we got His DNA, its DNA, okay? And in its DNA is all of who we are and it is. And that is attached to us forever, which means all of the wonderful things that go along with that, all abundance, all happiness, all joy, all prosperity comes along with that inherently. So each one of us, just as we have the ability to take one of our human cells and pull the DNA from it and create a completely new being, we have the ability to use God's DNA to create the life we want. So if we're not, and if we're saying, God, it's not working, that means we're doing something wrong or something is missing.
I'm Gary Beck. I'm the executive producer of the Minneapolis Edge Life Expo, which is November 3rd and 4th at the Earl Brown Heritage Center in Brooklyn Center. The Saturday times are from 10 to 6, and Sunday is from 10 until 5 o'clock. We have some fantastic speakers this year. We have Echo Bodine, Catherine Harwick, Greg Braden, John DeSalvo, Sunny Dawn Johnson, and Vincent Jenna. Would you like to say anything, ladies?
We'll see you there, Gary.
See you there, Gary.
Thank you.